Hey everybody, Zyle here. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Journals Not Included. In the footage that will commence after this introduction, it's what you're going to see is the beginning of the grand plan, the great project that for the next few episodes I will be embarking upon. I think that by the time you've watched this video, it will be very clear what I'm trying to do, what my plan is, and I talk a lot about that in this video, as well as there is some more information about the, as I was doing those early parts of this plan, I was also still using the new setup for the rocket and learning a few things about it. Take it all with a grain of salt, of course. As I've said before, if you really want the full build, you have to go watch my guide video on how to set that up. But it is the new version though that I'm using in this video, so everything I say is pretty relevant to using that build. So trying to get caught up. I am still a couple hundred cycles ahead in my play compared to where the videos are. However, I have a solution to that. Unfortunately, not that it's a big deal, I'm okay, but last night on my way home from the office, a car ran a red light and slammed into me. I drive an e-bike and just took me completely out, and I landed on my ass on the pavement real hard. Pretty much okay. It's just that I'm a bit bruised up where I hit the pavement and having a little bit difficulty walking around. And so I'm not going into the office today because of that. So it actually then gives me an entire day to work on catching up on the videos. So I am spending the majority of today while I'm at home editing videos in this, and I'm going to publish them. So you may see a couple videos get posted today, as well as I wouldn't mind making another guide video today. So it was not a fun experience, but at the same time, it freed me up for a day off that I can focus on getting caught up on my video editing. Maybe a little bit slower on the videos too in the next over the holidays. The Christmas holidays are upon us, and so going to be busy doing family stuff and all that. So might not be publishing that regularly, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people are going to be watching videos over the Christmas break. Maybe they will. So I'm not sure if I'll edit and publish them all like a bunch today, or if maybe I'll schedule them so that during the holidays, like every day one's coming out. I'm not sure how the algorithm thinks, whether it's better to post a bunch all at once or to stagger them out, but we'll see how it goes. The main thing is I got to get caught up. I don't like that the videos I'm posting are behind where my actual play is. So that's the plan. So anyways, enjoy the video, and we'll see you at the end cap. Okay, so we're back on the Soy Lala with the Super Rocket, the RV Radbolt, and they're out and about and starting to get busy working on stuff. Everything seems to be functioning so far the way I would expect it to, and it's looking good. So we have to start to keep an eye on basically how their morale goes, stress goes, and how the whole system functions, and see if it's going to live up to my expectations. So right now, working on to get this set up so we can start feeding the Somnium Synthesizer oxygen, so we can start analyzing the dream manuals that they're generating. We're going to do, once again, nice and simple. I kind of made a Hydra, then some flooding occurred. Doesn't matter. All I care about is pumping some oxygen into here. I don't care if this is what it's doing, so I'm just going to use a powerless filter to filter off the oxygen into it, and then just vent the hydrogen, and whatever, it'll go wherever it goes. That's fine by me. So again, not that concerned about establishing oxygen on the space or a settlement. I just want to get this mission done and start focusing on other things. Didn't bring any more. I think I had one more recharge. Forgot to bring it with me, so I can't get the. I can't do any more work there. But anyhow, this is mostly just a test design. So just about got that done. Okay, so let's have a quick look here. Yep, this is all set up to begin. They have to set this to 1. So I'll get that set to 1, and I'll need to feed it. And power. So the hydrogen vent, unfortunately I forgot to turn off this, so it's been running the whole time, just wasting hydrogen. And now of course we're in the dormant phase. It's active in 3 more cycles, so it's not a big deal. But we have lots of coal, so we've turned on the coal generator, and they should hopefully fill it up. Maybe I'll prompt them to fill that up, get it going, and that'll give us some power. Okay, so we have the powerless filter for oxygen set up, starting to load this thing up. It's now analyzing the dream journals, so that's a good start. And then any other gases that come through are ejected. So in this case, we're going to have we don't filter off hydrogen and pump it out, because then carbon dioxide or polluted oxygen might get in. Basically, the filter is going to grab what we want and take that, and everything else is going to get rejected. So, and then it'll slowly fill up and pass up through here. But we'll get enough oxygen out of this, hackish system. As you can see, we're going to get more than enough oxygen out of it that will just eventually the pipe will fill up. It'll get jammed up, and then we'll just turn it off, because this thing doesn't seem to use that much oxygen, right? So as soon as this thing gets to right about there, right now, what's going to happen is it will jam up with oxygen. Because the oxygen will, I believe it won't be able to get in, or will it reject it? I'm not sure. Yeah, it'll reject it. So this would just keep on cycling like this. So now there's no reason to run it. So we'll just we'll turn it off, and then we'll set this to above like 10,000, and it'll shut that off, and we just won't waste the power, because this is loaded now. And then how are the guys doing? We've been here for a couple cycles. They've been racing around doing stuff. Basically, the way I do it is I land, and then I set this to all ores, and I put clay in there as well because I need some. I don't know if there is any clay, but I just set this to all ores, and then they'll start when they have nothing to do. They've had stuff to do, but if they have nothing to do, then they'll start loading ores. So you just have that as almost like the backup measure, but they're told to build and dig priority. So let's just have a look at how we're doing here. Lando, as far as his stress goes, you can see he is picking some up, okay? And hits at low morale right now. But that's because he's in a cycle of finishing up his mess hall and stuff like that, right? Just based on how the timing of the way his schedule works. All right, so if we go and look at Lando's schedule, you see he's picking up his buffs into the cycle, right? So I think that's what the problem is. But we'll just examine the morale. I'll have a look at Lando, and we can see that he only has 27 morale right now. The decor is averaging at 6, which was what I expected, and he gets 5 from his skills learned. He has the passively relaxed, mess hall, 4-shift break, washroom, duplicate, solid food barracks. So what is he missing? There's one he's missing, because it should be, I believe it should be hitting like 30 plus. Anyways, I'm not sure which one he's missing. I'll have to look into that. And then Luke. See, Luke is hitting the proper amount of morale. Because I think Lando doesn't have a good meal yet. Let's have a look. Does he have a good meal? No, so it hasn't counted his meal yet, right? So when that's going to kick in 8 more, and he'll go to high morale. And Luke, who only gets 3 off his skills, slightly closer to the line, but if he gets everything, which he should every single time, then he'll be above it, right? So we'll just see, finish Lando up here. Yeah, good meal, okay? So now if we go check Lando, right, so he's fine. And then we can go and check his stress level, and it falls immediately because now he has high morale kicking in, so it'll be fine. So we do have 23 stress on Lando, and that might be just a timing thing, but I'm not that worried about it yet. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. We'll let this go, probably check in and see what happens over many cycles, if it stays consistent or not. So I've gone and prepped the map for the things I want done for resources, especially the diamond and the lead, as well as I'm going to dig out these 4 points of interest for the artifact quest thing. I'm just going to call them quests. I don't know what all these are, but this is a quest. In my opinion, this is a quest. this Artifacts quest. So now my guys can't do the analyzing. I don't think. I'll double check that, but I will just bring another dupe back unless it's just one's, unless it was easy to get. We'll have a look. I think only Lando would be close. Lando, yeah. So he needs, I believe, field researching, geographical analysis. So that would cause him to have 2 more morale requirement. He should be able to handle it. So maybe I will just throw it on him and get that one done while we're here, because it looks like he'll supersede it easily. This is where they're at their full morale. So you can see everything possible for the morale is kicked in right now. So he's at 36 and Luke is at 31. He's missing something. He has always 2 less. He should be at 34. I'm not sure which one. Maybe it's the last cycle's decor is actually a 3. But even so, if this even 3 minimum plus everything else is going to keep him above where we need him, and then Lando, of course, is just going to kill it. So sometimes they get 6 decor, sometimes they get 3. So any planning you do on this ship, you have to base it on the fact that they're going to get 3 morale. Like that's what you should consider from the decor. I thought I had pushed it enough that it would, even with them being outside, that it would always end up being 6, because it is really rock solid. But I guess it's it's still possible they can spend enough time outdoors that and that ends up being an average of 3 for the decor. It could have to do with whose bed is who. This is Lando's and this is Luke's, and this is a better spot. So what I'm going to do is, because Luke needs it better, he needs it more. The morale, he's close to the edge. I'm actually going to switch their beds around, okay? And I honestly, that might be the difference, is where they sleep, because if you look at this over here, it's negative. It's going to be, he might get 17. I think that this might be the spot that they sleep in, but it could also be here at minus 18, whereas here it's 27 and 28. So no matter what, this is a better decor spot. So whoever's sleeping here is going to have probably 6 every day, and whoever's here is going to have 3. You could counteract this. So if you wanted to have guaranteed 6 or higher, all you have to do is just sacrifice out 1 storage container. It depends on what you're doing. So if you're going to Planet and you're not don't want to haul like 40 tons worth of stuff, if that's not what your goal is, then I would highly suggest you take this one here and knock it out, and you put another plant in here, and that will blast this morale, and then they're always going to have the higher morale. So you have that option there. Ideally, I think that the final design should be where this is a plant, and the morale then cranks, and they always will have that bonus. And then you're unfortunately, you can only take 20 plus whatever when you empty it. So maybe let's say 30 tons, which is still a considerable amount. I just like knowing that I can do 50 tons, because there is a lot of resources on this planet I want. So you have that option. You also could tailor your dupe's skills better as well to get beneath it, because remember, again, I'm cranking my construction and digging and stuff, and you don't have to have all of this cranked like this, right? You could have one with digging, one with construction, for example, right? Depending on your dupes. The other thing that I made a huge mistake when I first came here, I brought Luke, okay? And now I've used the facilitator, the skill buff things on him. I've already used 3 or 4, I think, on him, which is, if I had considered it, Darth Vader would have been a far, far better choice, because he has hearts in all those pertinent skills. So he would have had 6 extra morale over Luke's 3 if I had brought him. So he should have been the guy I brought instead of bringing Darth, or Luke. However, I would have had to give him all these skills, but it doesn't matter. He would have been a better choice. So in the future, once I've used all my charges up on these 2, like when they get all 4 buffs, then I'll start bringing Darth and giving him the charges and tailor him up to be yet another guy who can go on away missions rather than Luke. So that was one mistake. And of course, there's no way for me to rewind my game and change that, and I don't care. This works based on what I've done. And it works so far quite well. And from the testing that we're seeing, it looks like with 2 containers, it's going to work. Okay, so this Somnium Synthesizer, which is it's analyzing their dream journals and everything, so it's well on its way. I did look up to see what is the buff exactly, and honestly, it's incredible. So What it does is it gives all duplicates in your colony stress minus 25% per cycle, which is insane. Athletics +5, strength +5, science +5, piloting +5, and machinery +5. So that is an incredible buff, especially if you're playing on the hardest difficulty. And honestly, I think if I had known what it grants, I would have made this much more of a priority to get done much, much earlier. In future playthroughs, I'm going to be going for this as quickly as possible, especially when I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, because minus 25% stress per cycle is going to counteract hardest difficulty by 5%. You can almost get your dupes to where they won't, even if they don't have high morale, they're still going to be able to combat against that. Because you can imagine if you had a dupe that had done the neural vacillator and got the minus 20% and then minus 25% from this, they could run around with low morale and it wouldn't even affect anything. So you'd almost get stress-proof dupes by having both this and this in place. But think about 5 athletics, 5 strength, 5 to the piloting. Like, it's just everything. It's just incredible about this for what those buffs do. So yeah, I think this is probably the strongest quest buff in the entire game. It's even though this guy's pretty OP, this is far, far, far more important to get. So in playthroughs, it should be a priority. So I've done some more research into the synthesizer. It's to find out how many journals they have to do before it completes, and it sounds like it's 25 journals, and then the event is complete. However, in order to get the buff, here's the bad news. In order to get the buff, you have to keep it analyzing dream journals constantly. So the buff won't be on unless it's fueled with oxygen and dream journals. That presents an interesting situation. However, I did some more reading and I found a post that explains the math behind it. Apparently, if you can get 6 dupes who their entire purpose in life is to sleep, you set their schedule for like sleep for the entire thing plus 1 tile for bathroom and break, so they can eat and so on. And maybe it's going to take 7 because of ravenous. They have to eat twice as long. So I have a feeling that it might be 7 or 8 that has to be done to do that. So that's an awful lot of setup and work in order to have that buff. However, because my oxygen not included OCD is kicking in, whenever I get something like that, I am compelled to do it. I don't know what it is about me, but I am compelled to do it. So that is my new project, is going to be to establish a colony here whose entire purpose is to keep this thing up and running. And yeah, it's a big project, but you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to determine what is going to be required. Obviously, there's a lot of setup here that would need to be done. We do have power. We can get our power that we'll need for a base by setting up things properly with the endless hydrogen. Now, source of water is going to be important. I haven't really looked at this map too closely, and there we go. So there is a source of water, and also not only am I going to need like 6, 7, maybe 8 dupes just to run this, I'm going to need a couple more to just maintain the base, because it'll be mealwood that I'll farm for food. So I'm going to need mealwood farms. At least I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll go with bristle blossom. Just because bristle blossom only needs water, whereas the mealwood would need an endless supply of dirt. So yeah, I think I will go with the bristle blossom farming type idea. So at least there's a source of water here, but it's going to be limited because it's going to have to provide oxygen, as well as it's going to have to provide the water for bristle blossoms. And I'll have to do the math on this geyser, as well as its cool steam vents. So there's going to have to be a cooling system worked out, cooling system for the base, food. So food will be bristle blossoms, hopefully. The water supply will come from here. Power will come from the hydrogen vent, and even natural gas if I find I need more for any reason. Probably not though. So, and then cooling will come from an aquatinner setup, running the pipes around and so on. So I do have all the necessary tools on this asteroid to set this up. It's just a question of, can this one vent support 302 every 627? It really depends on what its active period is, so it have to be analyzed. Can it support, let's say, 10 dupes? Very minimal colony of 10 dupes. Can it support that and run self-sufficiently with no, resources that cannot be replenished? And that means you have to do it pretty much off the water and the power that you have. So water is essential, and then the power is here. So if I can set up something that the water and the power is enough to maintain a base like that and get this whole thing wired up, I'm going to come up with a very clever, very compact design for everything. I don't like that this facilitator thing is here, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll build below. These things are in the way, etc. I don't know if you can mine these out. I think maybe you can remove them. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I can come up with a very basic design. I'm not gonna have to worry about morale for those dupes because their skills will be practically non-existent. They won't need any skills, the ones who are just sleeping. And it'll just be the couple that are here, and it'll just be some simple stuff like farming and so on. So if the water limitation is if I do find that the water limitation is a problem, then what I will end up doing is setting up a polluted water oxygen system. And I've done that quite often in the past on hold bases, where basically I create an entire long zone of polluted water in a trench, and then with the with these deodorizers set up so that it turns it into oxygen and it becomes like a naturalated system, and you just do that as a method. However, usually when I do that, I have a source of polluted water that doesn't have germs in it. But again, food poisoning germs in the air is not that big of a deal as long as it doesn't affect your food, and it won't the way I would set it up. So that might be another option too if it's not enough, because I'd like to keep it to 8 dupes. If I can keep it to 8 dupes, then I can just make one open-faced Rodriguez system to minimize the power use, and that'll have enough oxygen supplied for 8 dupes. And this thing doesn't really use, as we can see, it uses very, very, very little oxygen for what it's doing, so that's not a big deal either. So I'm pretty sure that I can pull this off. So that'll be the future project that I'm going to start working on, because again, I said my oxygen not included OCD is very strong when it comes to things like this, trying to come up with the perfect setup for running this system. So that is my new project, and I guess that Luke or Vader and Lando are going to be spending an awful lot of time on this asteroid, setting everything up in advance, so that when I start using the printing pod to bring in the dupes, they just immediately can be starting into the system. So I will set the entire base up with my main dupes, 2 dupes here, before I start bringing in any extra guys, because we want to have it all ready to go before we populate it. Okay, so started to hollow out this area because I think this will be a good place to build the dream base within this zone and lock it all down, and then eventually have oxygen go in. I have decided I will make a fully enclosed half Rodriguez self-powered oxygen machine for the oxygen for the space, just to have it run where it works and functions the way I want it to, and not have any issues at all. So again, one half Rodriguez will be enough oxygen for 8 dupes. And then over here, this is going to be a priority to start to tame this thing, this cool steam vent. So I'm going to get that going. Something that I want them to work on, because it's going to be important to cool this water, get a cooling system all properly made, in order to have it function correctly. and it is a steam vent, right? So I'm going to just use a standard setup once I've got this kind of all isolated and ironed out. For the water, for the oxygen generation, as well as for bathrooms and things like that. So what I'm basically trying to do as much as I can with the good dupes, and work on the harder infrastructure first rather than bedrooms and things like that. That's all easy to do. As well as I got to get some farms set up and everything, and food for when I can start bringing some dupes in. The first couple will be the ones who are actually going to do the work. Like I'm going to be looking for a farmer initially, because that'll be a huge part of this base for the food. The dupes have been doing fairly okay. There's been a couple of issues, and I've been tinkering with it. You can view inside here. It has to do with their scheduling. The thing I found out is that bath time, it's very weird. If they don't need to use the bathroom, and the only thing they do is bathroom, there's no showers. If they don't need to use the bathroom, then they go back to work. So the problem is that when you have a bath time set anywhere, they'll go when they have to. So if they're on rhythm, great. But if they're not on the rhythm of it, they won't even use it. And what'll happen is for one single packet cycle, one hour, they'll run outside and start trying to go and do some work, and then they'll run back when it hits their break time. So since downtime also allows them to use bathrooms and snacking and so on, I've just eliminated bath time because it's problematic. I don't want them, when they're in their downtime period, I do not want them going out. I had a bath time set here, and they would run outside, right? So they'd sleep, run outside for a bit, and come back in. So I've gotten rid of the bath time entirely. And honestly, unless you're really trying to control when they do certain things, like in a standard base, you almost don't need it for rocket dupes. So, and then another interesting thing that I've discovered is about the rad pills, and I've got to do some research about it, but they have to eat one rad pill every day, and I'm assuming they last for 600 seconds. The thing is, if when their rad pill expires, if it happens to be during their break time, and they happen to be using the beach chair, which every whenever it happens, 4 cycles or whatever, I need them to use that to get that morale boost. They'll be using it, and then all of a sudden they'll get up and they'll eat their rad pill. Right? The prioritize interrupts it. Same as if they suddenly got hungry and need to use the bathroom, they get up and use it. But if you've got things running steady, they should never do that. They should already have done their eating and their bathroom visit. But the rad pill, getting it synced up has been a problem. So I had where Luke picked up a bunch of stress because he couldn't get this buff, because he kept on stopping, eating his rad pill, then going back to it. But often what would happen is then while he's eating his rad pill, he'd get into his work cycle, and then he wouldn't continue using it. If they use it and they're not interrupted, they don't care if the work cycle happens. They will finish they'll finish this before they will go to work. But if anything interrupts them during that time that they're in the beach chair, and then if it flows it into the work period, they won't go back and finish it. So I'm trying to figure out how the rad pills, if it is a true cycle, because if it lasts longer than a whole cycle for any reason, then it's constantly pushing the time they're going to eat it further and further along. So those interrupts are going to happen. Now, it shouldn't be too bad long term, because the odd times that they sync up like that, they might miss it on a day, and then they'll get a little bit of stress, but they'll try and use it the next day, and eventually it should work itself out. So it is something I'm monitoring, but definitely changing the bath time to downtime and not having bath time, and having their schedule organized like this. So they start heading back. It takes them often, because of the distance, an entire packet to get back in time to sleep. And they have to get the amount of sleep they require, or other problems will occur. So so that's kind of how the schedule is being tested. But so far, I've been here for quite a long time. And because if we look at the food, we can see that, you got to be very careful to restrict their diet to only berry sludge, in case they find some lesser food out there in the map you're working and decide they'll eat that instead of the berry sludge, and then they don't get the full 8 morale from the berry sludge. Also had that issue because we found got excellent fruit, and they ate some of it, and then of course they went a whole cycle without the buff from the food, and it caused stress. So a lot of little variables have to be controlled. in order to be sure that you're maxing your morale out and not having any issues on the hard difficulty. Anyone playing on normal uses this design, you'd never have any issues. Like this thing would work perfectly on normal settings. It's just on the hardest difficulties where you're going to have a rad pill issue. Because on normal settings, you wouldn't even need rad pills. They would, using the washroom, would remove 100 every day. So you would never need this on rad pills on normal settings, and you wouldn't have to worry about even them using the beach chair because your morale considerations aren't going to come into play as much. But definitely on the hard settings, all these factors are very important to get balanced just right. But so far, the one thing that's working is the oxygen system is fine. The power is never an issue because it's just, the amount of use required is so little. I could have had the phone. I just can't squeeze it in. I thought maybe I could put it here, but no, it can't go on this tile. And if I make this a tile, then they can't get up and down. So I can't get the phone in unless I decide I want to remove the beach chair, which I don't. It's a better buff overall. I'd love to have the beach chair and the phone in this system, but I can't theorize a way to squeeze it in. Still heavily considering that I should have had another plant here instead of two of these. But it depends on what you're doing. Like on this mission, I'm not coming for materials, so these kind of are just a bit of a waste to have here. So another plant would have been a lot better because they would have got, it would have allowed them to probably get to because it always flips. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6 from the decor buff. You can see here how tight we are, right? Like Luke, he's right on the edge, and he's got all the buffs. Right, he's got meal, relaxed, 5-shift break, skills learned, mess hall. Decor average 3. If the next step up is 6. So if I could always consistently get 6, that would be good. Now there's a couple ways I can do that. But looking at Lando, same thing, decor 3. But because he's got 5 skills of hearts in them, he's able to stay above. But if any of these things fall off or go wrong, then he'll start picking up stress. If you are playing a hardest difficulty and you do start to get into a stress spiral, the best thing to do is to simply go crew and lock them in here and wait a cycle. And they'll get all the full buffs and they'll be all relaxed. The core will be off the hook and their stress will start dropping. So you can stay in here maybe a cycle, maybe 2 cycles before you start sending them out again. And again, when they stay in here, they're just using the same resources they would have anyways, but you're not using oxygen outside on the suits, but that really doesn't matter. So that's one way to deal with it. So this system is working. We've been here long enough where I confidently know that as long as I monitor it and it's balanced correctly, it will work long term. The biggest thing I'm really disappointed is recreation room. It says morale bonus. I don't see where it gives morale bonus. There's nothing on their morale sheet that indicates recreation room morale bonus. So, I mean, they're using a building inside here. I've even checked when they get the buff, they get nothing extra. So I'm not even sure what's going on with the recreation room or how you're supposed to get that morale bonus to actually kick in. Okay, and there's the video. As you can see, I'm still trying to learn a bunch of stuff. Before you comment about the Somnium Synthesizer and the amount of oxygen it uses, trust me, that's why I put the crying emoji. I can't believe that I looked at that and thought that it was using little oxygen. The truth is anyone who checks it out, it uses 500 grams per second, which is the equivalent of 5 dupes breathing. So it actually requires quite a bit. And I do discover that in a future video where I'm like, oh wow, I'm going to have to really provide a lot of oxygen to this. So you can see that the plan is I'm gonna begin to basically make a base. I do that, and over the next couple episodes you'll see me slowly working and creating that base and just discovering, like everything in this game, that one system leads to another system leads to another system, and what was in my mind to be a small little compact, easy to build and easy to run base turns into some kind of monster. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button, consider subscribing, feel free to leave a comment. I always am happy to get feedback. And with that said, we'll see you in the next one.